Welcome back, Nicholas Comic Corner Classic, less known classics. This is episode number 1235 and Doubleshot number 1129. Yep. Now, the thing with these two trades, they're Iron trades, but they're from an event that came out just this year. These are tie-in miniseries plus a one-shot. The main miniseries I will review at some point, but I found these both at Barnes & Noble, so I figured though, just get them. I don't know when I'll get a chance to talk about these two books, so... And weirdly enough, there's no read order for these damn books. Nope, there isn't, aside from the miniseries. First up, it is one of the first of two. This is Iron Man 2020 Robot Revolution Forceworks. This contains the miniseries 2020 Forceworks, 2020 Iron Man, 2020 Machine Man. Both of them now, and of course Iron Man 2020 Iron Age. Now Forceworks is a 3-issue miniseries. Machine Man 2 issues. Iron Age is a one-shot. Yep. Now who writes these particular things? Now Machine Man, that's done by Crystal Gage, awesome writer. Artwork is by Andy McDaniel. The cover art for the book is by Nick Roach and Mike Spicer. No, it's not Nick Spencer. It's a different guy. Nick Spencer's a writer. Forceworks done by Matthew Rosenberg. Interesting. With the artwork by Juan Ramirez. With co-artwork on issue 2 with Roberto De Silva. It's a backup story. If They Be Heroes, They Leap is done by Tyler Falco with Mike Hawthorne the artwork. And the Iron Age one-shot. Yes, this has 3 stories in it. One is for Machine Man. The other is Akuma. She's the ex-wife of Ultron. One of like 3. Yeah, he's got 3. And a Dr. Soprano. So I don't know who this character is. Machine Man is done by Tom DeFalco. That makes sense because he wrote the original miniseries coming back in the 80s. You have Fonda Lee, who does the Akuma story, and you have Christopher Cantwell, who does the Dr. Severo story. Now, Forceworks. For those who know what the heck Forceworks is, originally this was a comic book ongoing series published back in the 1990s, written by the guys who created the modern incarnation of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. It basically decided to, in a way, revamp the West Coast. That was, sadly enough, canceled after 22 issues. That was the original incarnation. That was led by Iron Man. Makes sense to bring back for this event. Now this is technically the 3rd version of Forceworks. The first one was a privately funded version fired by Iron Man. Yeah, he funded the original version. The second version, which War Machine was kind of part of this one too. Yeah, War Machine's part of all 3 incarnations. That one popped up in the War Machine 33-35, which were actually Iron Man 33-35. Yeah, it was a Secret Invasion tie-in for Iron Man Volume 4, and that's what they mentioned about Forceworks, where it was a government-sanctioned team. Yes, a government-sanctioned team, part of the initiative. I believe they were based in Oregon, if I'm not mistaken, because California had the Order. Yeah, the Order was a group created by Mad Fraction. Unlike, let's say, the Order, which had a very brief ongoing series, Forceworks didn't. Nope, Marvel did not basically give an ongoing series. They were mentioned being around, but nothing was done with them. Now, the lineup for the original group was comprised of, get this, Iron Man, War Machine, the Scarlet Witch, U.S. Agent was part of that lineup too, along with Wonder Man. Yeah, Wonder Man was part of that incarnation. And mostly puts anybody who was on the... Hawkeye later joined the team. It's mostly anybody who was on the West Coast Avengers at that point in time. Which, of course, Iron Man at the time decided to spend the West Coast Avengers and form Forceworks because of all the backstabbing and basically the lack of rebuilding of their headquarters. And Forceworks was based at a place known as The Forge. It was a place on California owned by Iron Man. And it was sort of a proactive superhero team who mostly operated out of California. This Forceworks incarnation, this one led by War Machine himself, is a government-sanctioned team, which apparently their boss is Maria Hill of all people. Yes, Maria Hill is their boss. Okay, fine. Now the members are, get this, Solo, Gauntlet, Quake, U.S. Agent, and Mockingbird. Yes, This is the lineup. Now, you probably think, wait, where are Gauntlet and Solo? Solo quit in the opening issue after like one panel appearance. Gauntlet was taken out basically very early on. They were put together just to take on the Robot Revolution, which they go to an island full of freaking Deathlocks. Surprisingly, there is no Deathlock miniseries for this, which that would have been perfect for this particular event. Yet, no Deathlock. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Now, they go there. Oh, yeah, they even point out, though, yeah, no one likes U.S. Agent because how much of a jerk the man is. Which is true. As a matter of fact, Hawkeye himself has actually beat the crap out of U.S. Agent, like, in one issue of West Coast Avengers. Because he basically got tired of U.S. Agent insulting him. So he basically just walked out to the beach near where the Avengers compound is. This, of course, this went out in California. And he proceeded to beat the living crap out of the man. Which he rightfully deserved because how much of a government stooge the man is. And yes, the man has had his own miniseries. And this guy was previously Captain America for a couple of years. Yeah, for some reason they thought that was a good idea to do that. That was all Mark Greenwald. He was the one who created this character, by the way. Mockingbird, this is something quite strange with Mockingbird. I will discuss more when they would come across to her. There's no confirmation of who exactly created this character. I discussed this with Neil Adams. He somehow credited for creating the character, but he does not remember creating Mockingbird. War Machine, Bob Layton. Now, in the case of Daisy Johnson, she's created by Brian Michael Bendis. Yep. And during the miniseries, War Machine gets injured, and basically, apparently, all of them got fired except for War Machine. When he basically ordered U.S. agents because he is the leader. Yeah, he basically now Mockingbird easily basically told him to calm down because literally this is a literal term that people have when two rival, let's just say, people. It's called a dick measure contest. Now, I know that's kind of appropriate to say, but that's literally what James Rhodes and John Walker were doing. They were doing this because Now, here's the thing. War Machine is the leader of this team. And, of course, U.S. Agent is basically doing a side mission behind his back. I'm like, did Matthew Rosberg rip up a plot point from The Winter Soldier? I'm sure he did. Yes, I'm sure he did. But, well, it's basically glossed to the very end because apparently all members are moved except U.S. Agent and they get written off. Now, prior to this particular book, War Machine was just featured in the Iron Man series by Dan Slott. Mockingbird herself, just prior to this particular event coming out, was doing nothing. Absolutely frickin' nothing. Yes, for the past few years, she hasn't done a lot. She was briefly a recurring character in the pages of Dan Slott's Amazing Spider-Man run. She also briefly had an ongoing series, featured Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh yeah, she was all featured in she was featured in previous one Secret Avengers, but that was before Secret Wars. But prior to this, I can't think of anything she was involved with. U.S. Agent, on the other hand, I think the last time I saw him was back when Nick Spencer wrote Captain America Sam Wilson. That was the last time I could think of he popped up. Because he didn't do anything for Secret Empire. Nope. Now, it's great to see Mockingbird here because she doesn't do much of anything. As for Daisy Johnson, oh boy, her. Let's see, I think the last I saw her was back in the Secret Wars series. Matthew Rosberg, at least he has experience writing her. In the case of John Walker, Bobby Morse, and James Rhodes. As far as I can tell, I don't think he's ever written these three before. Nope, but this was a pretty good miniseries. Now, as for the other ones, Machine Man was quite interesting. It's mostly him going after Chakasta for pretty much the whole 2-issue miniseries. And he eventually does get her ahead, doesn't get one of her bodies. Yeah, she has tendency to swap bodies. And he also runs into like a previous version of the X series, basically X-22. He runs to X-52, which is a recolored version of the classic Jack Kirby design for Machine Man. As a matter of fact, it's the first miniseries featured here. And, like, look, here is X-22. Yes, this robot is literally X-22. One of basically the previous versions of the character. Now, when they... oh, yeah, by the way, his catchphrase is, get this. This is according to Christmas Gage. Pray to your fleshly god. pray. That apparently is his catchphrase. For some reason, I don't know why. Also, he's convinced that, well, Jocasta was brainwashed by Sensei B. He probably was. And here is the recolored Iron Man 2020, which I'm sure this design is based upon the original Tom DeFalco. Well, this design is clearly based upon the way he looked originally by Jack Kirby designed back in the 70s. But it's red instead of purple. Yep. And that leads into the enemy series, which Aaron Stack kills his successor. And, well, he basically just chops off Jocasta's head. And they go off, and basically he says his catchphrase, apparently, pray to your fleshly god. Pray. Yep, and that's the miniseries for you. The Force Works was interesting, to say the least. And I like stuff, basically, that Matthew Rosenberg has done. And this is not a bad miniseries. No, it's a series that probably should be talked a little bit more, but isn't. Next, we have a series of stories, probably a backup feature from ForceWorks, The Midnight Wreckers. Yes. Which these are just random people. Now, this story is interesting, to say the least. I have no idea who these people are. He's just this random guy, just basically stumble upon basically the events of Iron Man 2020, and that's simply it. Oh yeah, and also Rose Taken is a story it's a Machine Man story, which I found this one to be interesting. It just focuses on Machine Man, which that probably is really cool, because always cool to focus on freaking Machine Man, because he's a cool character. Now, then we have this woman here. This is Akuma. That's her name. That's Akama. She is, in fact, one of Ultron's ex-wives. I believe she's his second ex-wife. Yes, she was actually a bride created for Ultron, which he divorced. Because apparently her name is Arabic. And they divorced in one of Kurt Busiek's issues where he said, I divorced thee, I divorced thee, I divorced thee. Yeah, he literally said that. And they're divorced. Yep. It's probably by far her first appearance in years. Like, oh my gosh. I think the last time she appeared I can think of was maybe in the Rage of Ultron one-shot, but that's it. She hasn't appeared in a long time. It's like, okay, bring this character in for some strange reason. The last story is basically a story that it's called An Ordinary Cat. It's just a cat that just happens to stumble upon stuff. It's a story with barely any dialogue, and it's the best story of the Iron Age one-shot. Because it got very little dialogue. Now, of the stuff in here, Iron Age is okay. I think the best story is the cat one. Machine Man, cool, love it, really awesome. Like the fact Crystal Cage basically plays one of the awesomest days of Machine Man. Force Works is interesting, to say the least. Though I think it's one of like a couple books basically that Matthew Rosenberg did this year. The only book he's doing now is Hawkeye Freefall, which I have not reviewed that yet. This, of course, is good. I give this book a 9 out of 10. Now with something really interesting. Next we have Iron Man 2020 Robot Revolution iWolverine. Yep. Now this contains 2020 Rescue, 2020 Ironheart, and 2020 iWolverine. Now, of these miniseries, let's talk first about Wolverine himself. This miniseries is done. Now, the first miniseries in here, believe it or not, is in fact iWolverine, which originally was going to be called Wolverine AXE. That was the original title of the series, but they changed to iWolverine. Now you are thinking, is Logan here? Nope, it's Albert. Yes, Albert. Even Elsa is here. Yes, the two robots that were created by the guy who wrote this miniseries. The guy who's also known for being the writer for G.I. Joe, Larry Hama. Yes, he comes back to Wolverine for the first time since the 90s. Yes, and it's like he never lost touch, basically, when it comes to writing Wolverine, because he wrote Wolverine for a long freaking time in the 90s. Because if you read the Essential Wolverine book, he wrote a lot of the issues. And he created these two characters. And I found this miniseries to be awesome. It's mostly put just Albert basically on the run from the Robot Revolution and the government hunting him too. He runs to Elsa again, gives her a brand new outfit, gives her a sailor outfit for some reason. Even though that when she originally appeared in the 90s, she wore a pink dress, and she was just a adorable little girl. And it's great, though, that Marvel brought this guy back to do this miniseries. Because, after all, who better to write Albert than frickin' Larry Hama, his creator? Though the artist is not the same artist who did the miniseries. Oh, no. Now, Ronald Bushi, he does the artwork for this thing. And the cover art is done by Juan Jose, RVP, and Jesus Arbiter, I think that's the person's name. Yeah, that's what does the cover. 2020 Rescue. Oh, also, I'll probably level something a little bit later about the title of this book. 2020 Rescue is simply just a 2-issue miniseries per Potts. Just a pure fun series, and the writer of it, which is Diana Schwartz, which I think she does a pretty good job with the book, and the artwork is done by Sam Barrows, which also apparently Scott Hanna did some artwork for the book too. Issue 1 is the finishes. The cover is by Paco Medina and Jesus Arbiter. It's mostly put like, what if basically Pepper Potts had her own solo book as Rescue? Though they gave her a slightly updated look. Yeah, this is her current look now. Because originally her look was like whitish. Yeah. Now, I should point out, though, this is not the first time she's had her own solo title. She had a one-shot published in, get this, like, I think it was back in, 2009. Yes. At the time this came out just this year. It had been the first time in 11 years that she's had anything solo-wise. But just fun spy series for Pepper Potts, which I thought would be really enjoyable. Ironheart is just basically another Ironheart book where apparently she's retired to be a superhero, which I thought that was kind of weird, despite the fact she's still active. And Miles Morales in the miniseries, yeah, he is. Now you're probably thinking, is in fact the writer of now the book is written by Vita Alia and Danny Lauren, who were not the writers of the Ironheart series, different writer. They are working on by David Messina. The cover is done by Wu Chi Lee, this issue 2. Issue 1 was by Scan. That's literally the guy's name. I found the 2020 Ironheart miniseries be kind of the weakest miniseries and kind of the least interesting one I found in here. Nothing against the character. Oh no, I like the character. It's just that the miniseries itself is just okay. It's by far the weakest of all the tie-ins that I've seen. Because everything has been pretty good until you get to Ironheart. Now, I like Ironheart. Great character. This is Bendis' character. The Marvel has done some things with this character. Not a lot. They did briefly get her on an ongoing series, which got cancelled after 12 issues. No, I'm not kidding about that. It got canceled 12 issues. This is her second solo book she's had, but it's a mini-series, and it's tied into Iron Man 2020. Yep. It's an okay miniseries. Nothing much from my home when it comes to that. But if you look at basically all in all when it comes to all the miniseries, I would rank the best as iWolverine. That is by far the best miniseries of this whole bunch. I rank that number 1. Number 2, I give it to Machine Man. Yes, Machine Man. Oh, by the way, I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Damn good book. Yes, so I give iWolverine number 1 as the best miniseries of all of them. Number 2, I give to Machine Man. Number 3, I give to, believe it or not, Rescue. Yes, I give it to Rescue. Number 4, I give it to Forceworks. Because I found the Rescue book to be a little more interesting than the Forceworks miniseries, which I found basically, now I like Matthew Rosenberg's work. I'm a fan of his work. And I've met the guy in person. Great guy to meet in person. But I wouldn't say it's a terrible miniseries per se. It's also by far the longest miniseries. Out of all miniseries starting Iron Man 2020, it's the longest, being 3 issues. Everything else is just 2 issues, which we're thinking, really? Yeah, it's only 2 issues. Yeah. I would definitely rank Forceworks over Ironheart, purely because that Ironheart, in my opinion, is the weakest of all the miniseries. Yes, now, here's something also you should know. That originally, when this thing was being solicited, that the names of these miniseries actually slightly changed. They actually put the name 2020 after the name of the series. Like 2020 Forceworks, that was originally called Forceworks 2020. And can't think for Machine Man, Rescue. That was the original thing. And Wolverine was the one actually changed the name of the series instead of swapping the titles around like they did everything else. Yeah. And it's interesting, though, out of all the books, only iWolverine actually has the person who created this character writing the miniseries. Everything else is mostly done by other writers. Like, I'm surprised Matt Fraction to come back to Rescue, because after all, he's the one who gave the identity of Rescue to Pepper Potts, but I don't think he could because, well, he's over at Image doing Sex Criminals. Yep. Though I highly doubt he would come back, probably because when he left, this is my opinion, I think he left Marvel on a very bad note. And probably because also he hates the guts of Axel Alonso. Though I wouldn't think he'd have a problem with C.B. Sebesky, who's done actually a pretty dang good job, in my opinion. For one thing I've noticed though since C.B. Sebesky has been in charge of Marvel the past few years, he's kind of in the way scaled back on the boatload of events Marvel's had every year. I'll discuss more about that when I do a Good Things That Happened this year. This was actually one of the events that came out this year, though this event was actually delayed because of the pandemic. From what I can tell for the miniseries, everything came out on time. I don't think any of these were delayed. Not that I can think of, no. A lot of these miniseries were finished up pretty quickly. Excuse me. Yes. Now, what do everybody think about these miniseries for Iron Man 2020, the Road Revolution? I will get the main miniseries soon, just not at the moment. I'll probably go on my next Amazon purchase because apparently Barnes & Noble didn't have a copy of this series, but they did have the two trades. Yeah, as far as I can tell, these two miniseries, these two books contain all the tie-ins for Iron Man 2020. And here's a shocking note for this particular event. It's the first event I've seen in quite a while for Marvel where there's no ongoing series tied into this event. Yes, that's actually completely true because, well, if we look at Empire, that actually had tie-ins of actual ongoing series tied in that event. King of Black is the same way. X of Swords, which basically that's a really good crossover, though didn't have other miniseries tied into it, but that was basically a crossover with the X books. But events like this, I mean, if you look at last year, I mean, this was the only event this year that was actually pretty quick, though it was released monthly, unlike some other events which released pretty quickly. Though it's probably by far the only event that was actually delayed. Yeah, the receiver delayed, but they were released pretty much on time. Yep. And, well, not much else to say about it, but I will discuss more about my final thoughts on the Iron Man 2020 event when I get a chance to head on the main miniseries. As for the tie-ins, they're all good except for Ironheart, because I found this one to be the least interesting one. Because let's just have her say she's not here anymore, because she really is. Have her basically, her AI called Natalie, which I don't remember this character. It may have been the Ironheart series. It's been a while since I've read it. And look, let's have Repulsor pointed at her. I'm like, really? Really? Who thinks she is? Who do you think this guy is? Robert Downey Jr.? When he's putting Repulsor at the wall or whatever? Yeah, I found this one to be pretty weak. Not a terrible miniseries, just the weakest one of all of them. That's how I would rank all the miniseries tie-ins, basically, for Iron Man 20 for the Iron Man 2020 event, the tie-ins. Oh, before I end this, it's shocking though. We have a tie-in for Deathlock, for Albert, for iWolverine, Rescue, Ironheart, Machine Man, but no Deathlock. Isn't that strange? There's no tie-in for Deathlock. He doesn't even appear in this event. Which I would think he would because he's a freaking cyborg. They could have the Henry Hayes character pop up or the original Deathlock from the 90s. But nope, they are nowhere to be seen in this event. And this is all about freaking robots. And yet, no Deathlock. I'll discuss more about that when I get my hands on the main miniseries. Yep, so that's it for Sick Review. I have one more video I'm doing today, review of the newest episode, Case Closed. Okay, do the next video. Bye.